For Comedy Hype News, I'm Tatiana LaJoy. In the 1980s, Eddie Murphy was the reigning box office champ with movies like 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and The Golden Child, all making big bucks at the box office. These movies landed him a very lucrative studio contract with Paramount Pictures, which led to him developing his own projects under his Eddie Murphy Productions banner. With his Paramount Pictures contract, Eddie would bring us movies like Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop 3, Another 48 Hours, Boomerang, and Vampire in Brooklyn. But as the late, great, notorious B.I.G. said, more money, more problems. For Eddie Murphy and Paramount Pictures, those problems came in the form of Johnny Oseni Bello and Arthur Buchwald. Here's why Eddie Murphy was sued for Coming to America. In 1989, a self-proclaimed actor and producer and Nigerian prince, John Oseni Bello, claimed in a lawsuit that he was the originator of the concept of the Eddie Murphy movie Coming to America. Bello claims that Murphy stole his life story, which mirrored Prince Akeem's journey in the film. Bello traveled to the United States from the Ivory Coast 10 years prior in search of a bride who would marry him for love rather than his status or money. Bello said in his court papers that at one point he had discussed his trip to America with Murphy after several interactions with him at social gatherings in the early 80s. Bello's attorney John F. Bayer and Bello submitted a script co-written by writer Shelby M. Gregory entitled Toto, the African Prince, but later found out that Murphy had already written the script himself and given it to Paramount Pictures without his permission. This led to Bello seeking $100 million in damages. It was the early 1980s in Hollywood, the United States of America. I was an actor. I was already playing in movies. I wasn't playing big roles. That's how I met Eddie in a cafe. I was living in Beverly Hills at the time. I told Eddie I wrote a script for a movie and asked if he could help produce this film. I gave him my script, and sometime later when I saw Eddie Murphy again in town, he came back to give me my script and said, "Johnny, your script doesn't interest me. Good luck." And a few weeks later, Eddie told me he was doing a movie called An African Prince. Johnny Oseni Bello. What we are alleging is that Oseni Bello had a specific script and that Prince Johnny's life story is so similar to the script Coming to America that all the communications engaged between him and Eddie Murphy were clearly utilized in the movie. Attorney Michael Brush. Murphy's attorneys sought to have the case dismissed, but a Los Angeles Superior Court judge refused to dismiss the case. He told Paramount Productions, the company he was working with at the time to produce Boomerang, that Eddie Murphy also had to appear in court. Murphy's absence from the set, even for a short time, would threaten the quality of the motion picture and the reputations of those involved in its production. John Goldwyn, Paramount's president of motion picture production. Following the judge's ruling, Bello's attorney Brush said a private investigator was sent to Bello's hotel. Louisa Moritz, the hotel owner, said he witnessed the investigator parked outside for 5 days and nights, and he also questioned tenants on if they knew Bello and what room he stayed in. Then on February 13, 1992, police kicked in Bello's door at the Beverly Hills St. Moritz Hotel Apartments and was apprehended by immigration on a visa violation charge, which led to his departing on February 22nd to West African nation of Burkina Faso. Bruce said his client's deportation by the U.S. immigration was no accident, and says Paramount and Eddie Murphy Productions lawyers attempted to obtain INS records on Bello, which led to immigration agents being alerted of his whereabouts. It was then reported that Bello had been staying in the United States on an expired visa, originally issued in 1979, and had been under an order of deportation since 1986. INS officials discovered Bello's address when they received a Freedom of Information Act request for immigration files on a name Bello used when he entered the country. The request tripped a wire, that's all, and the results are from the information I got. I could, and I acted. Ken Elwood. If we can't get him back, it effectively eliminates the cause because it is heavily dependent on the testimony of the plaintiff. Michael Brush. Paramount Pictures and Eddie Murphy Productions declined to comment, and Elwood said he was legally prohibited from identifying the person that filed the FOIA request. He also stated that it was unlikely Paramount attorneys would know that there was deportation out for Bello. Ellen also said that they had no clue Bello was connected to African royalty. A man that identified himself as a prince said he had known Oseni Bello since they were living in Paris in the 1970s. My grandfather is the king of Kasai, a region that produces diamonds and air. We will issue a diplomatic passport for Johnny for Zaire. What the movie was about was his life. We had the same problem. Our family sent us over to the United States. Johnny wanted to get married, and when he came to California, he became a friend of Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy. Since Oseni Bello's deportation, the case against Paramount and Eddie Murphy appears to have been dropped. Unfortunately for Murphy and Paramount Pictures, the troubles with Coming to America wouldn't stop there. Unlike Bello, Art Buchwald was more successful in court. Buchwald, a writer for the Washington Post, sued Paramount Pictures, claiming that the studio stole his script treatment. In 1982, Buchwald wrote a screen treatment entitled It's a Crude, Crude World, later renamed King for a Day. The treatment was pitched to Paramount's Jeffrey Katzenberg with intentions of Eddie Murphy starring, since Murphy was under contract with Paramount, and director John Landis's name came up on several occasions for the job. They optioned the treatment in 1983 and commissioned several unsuccessful scripts, and the film fell into production hell. Paramount ultimately decided to abandon the project in March 1985. However, a year later, Warner Brothers picked it up. Then in the summer of 1988, another year later, it was discovered that Paramount was developing a movie where Eddie Murphy came up with the story. Two former Saturday Night Live writers were writing the script to be directed by John Landis. The story followed a similar trajectory as Buchwald's treatment and the other Paramount scripts that weren't bought. As a result, Warner Brothers canceled their version due to Paramount's. According to Buchwald, when Paramount executives got the script, he told them that they could change it, fold, spindle, or mutilate it, but you have to pay me. When Coming to America was released in 1988, Murphy was given sole story credit and Buchwald was neither paid nor credited. Buchwald filed a lawsuit due to breach of contract, since his Paramount contract stated that he would be paid a certain amount if the treatment was used. The California Superior Court decided in 1990 that Buchwald presented enough evidence that his treatment was similar and both Murphy and Landis at one point had access to his treatment, thus proving that Coming to America was based on Buchwald's treatment. It was decided that Buchwald would be compensated since Paramount did, in fact, breach their contract. What was next was deciding what was the appropriate amount of damages should be paid out to Buchwald. It was reported that Coming to America made $288 million in ticket sales. However, no net profit was made because the studio spent money on the development of the project and marketing. The entire case opened up a dispute regarding film studios and their net profit formulas. In order to determine how a movie has made a profit, the formula is as follows. The net profit margin is equal to the revenue made, subtracted by the cost. As the case was being investigated, it was discovered that allegedly, the account formulas used by film studios were designed specifically to make sure that it's mathematically impossible for almost any movie to show a net profit. Fearing the loss of appeal and a possible wave of other writers claiming that they were wronged by Paramount settled with Buchwald and his producing partner for $900,000. Looking back on the case, director of Coming to America John Landis said, "I preface this by saying that I don't know Art Buchwald and I have nothing against him. I should point out that for all the media attention to the case, no one ever mentions Barry Blaustein and David Sheffield, the men who wrote the script. Every movie I have been involved with that has had a big hit had people suing the studio saying that it was their idea. We live in a very litigious society. You can sue anybody for anything." John Landis. As a result of Buchwald versus Paramount, nearly all movie studios and production companies have changed the way they handle scripts. Now concerned that similarities between treatments and scripts could lead to a lawsuit if the same plot elements are used, all studios usually return unrequested scripts back to the original owner unopened. This Coming to America copyright lawsuit has forever changed the way movie studios have decided to operate now and in the future. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel. Follow Comedy Hype across all social media and look out for original content on our new streaming service at comedyhype.com. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Tatiana LaJoy.